Hello and welcome to Life Begins at 50, a place where we speak honestly about aging, dignity, and the choices that shape the rest of our lives. Today, I want to share a story with you, not to complain, but to warn you. I'm 82 years old. I've made mistakes in my life, but there's one decision I truly regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it felt like the right choice. My family encouraged it, saying I'd be well cared for, that I'd have comfort and security. I believed them, but once I arrived, I realized something no one had told me before. Living in a nursing home doesn't just change where you live, it changes who you are. I lost more than just my independence. I lost my routine, my purpose, my sense of control, even my identity. In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 painful truths I wish someone had told me before I made the move. These are not small inconveniences. They are life-altering realities that slowly erode your freedom, your dignity, and your will. So if you or someone you love is thinking about moving into a nursing home, I ask you to stay with me until the end, because these truths might save you from making a choice that's much harder to reverse than it seems. Let's begin. 1. Losing freedom and control over my life. After living 82 years, I thought I had become used to change, but nothing could have prepared me for the shock of entering a nursing home for the first time. Within the first week, I realized a painful truth. I was no longer the one in control of my life. Before I moved in, I had my routines. I woke up early, made my own coffee, opened a window to let in the morning light, and sat in my old wooden chair to read. The same chair I had built myself decades ago. That was my moment of peace every day. No rush, no rules. Just me and the morning air. But inside the nursing home, everything was scheduled. Breakfast at 7 a.m., whether I was hungry or not. Lights out at 9 p.m., even if I was in the middle of a chapter. I couldn't go outside unless someone was available to accompany me. Even when I wanted to wear my green sweater, the one my wife knitted for me, the caregiver picked a different one because it's easier to change. I still remember that first morning. I woke up, reached for the book I always kept by my bed, but it wasn't there. The room felt cold, white, unfamiliar. No scent of old wood. No soft hum of the fan I used to keep by my nightstand. That was the moment I truly felt it. This wasn't my home anymore. I met a man named Thomas, 87, a retired history teacher. He told me the hardest part wasn't the food or the routine. It was the fact that he had to ask permission to go to the bathroom. Back home, he said, I could sit down to read the morning news and make my toast without asking anyone. Here, even the radio has to follow their schedule. It may sound small, even trivial, but it's these seemingly minor things, when you eat, what you wear, where you sit, that make up your sense of identity, your sense of self. I'm not saying that nursing homes are terrible for everyone. Some people truly need the level of medical care they offer. But if you can still walk on your own, if you still want to make your own tea in the morning, please think twice. Because once you lose the ability to decide the little things, you begin to lose who you are. If I could go back, I would have chosen to stay at home, even if it meant more effort. I would have hired a helper a few days a week. I would have asked my children to install safety rails and an emergency alert button. But most importantly, I would have held on to the one thing that made me feel truly alive: autonomy. Because once you give it up, getting it back is nearly impossible. 2. Feeling forgotten and losing my purpose. I used to think that even if I moved into a nursing home, my family would still be there for me. Before I moved in, we had a heartfelt conversation. My daughter held my hand and promised, Dad, don't worry, I'll visit you every week. The kids can't wait to come too. I believed them, and at first, they kept that promise. In the beginning, my daughter came every week with my 2 grandkids. She brought apple pie, my favorite. We ate together in the common area, chatting and laughing. I still remember my youngest grandson whispering, "Grandpa, you look like a king in this castle." I smiled and felt a little comforted, but then life kept moving. Weeks passed, and my daughter started calling instead of visiting. Then the calls became less frequent. I don't blame her. She has her own family, her own job, her own responsibilities. But that didn't make me feel any less forgotten. I remember one Thanksgiving. Everyone was excited about being picked up by their families for the holiday. I got dressed early, shaved, even combed my hair neatly. But by evening, I was still sitting there waiting. Eventually, I wrapped up a slice of pie and took it back to my room. I ate it alone, in silence. I looked around and saw many other seniors doing the same. Some waited by the front door. Others pretended to read, but their eyes kept glancing up. Everyone hoped someone remembered them. Loneliness in a nursing home doesn't come from the lack of people around. It comes from the feeling that you no longer belong in anyone's life. Then came the third regret, losing my sense of purpose. When I lived at home, I still had little responsibilities. I tended the garden every Saturday. I cooked simple meals. I tuned my old radio and even played piano once a week. I had a reason to get out of bed each morning. But in the nursing home, everything is done for you. The room is cleaned. The meals are served. There's nothing left for you to take care of. At first, I thought it would be nice. Finally, a break. I told myself, no chores, no stress, just rest. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt long and repetitive. There was nothing left to look forward to. I met a woman named Elaine, a former literature teacher. She told me, "I used to feel alive when I stood in front of a classroom. I used to matter." Now, she said, she felt like a patient. Just another name on a list. Another man, George, had been a carpenter all his life. He once fixed a drawer in my room just for fun. But slowly, I watched his hands, once strong and skilled, rest idly on his lap. "I feel useless," he told me, and I knew exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to take care of, something to wake up for, something to contribute, you start to fade. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what still gives your life meaning? Because once you give that up, it's not just time that passes. It's a part of your soul that starts slipping away too. 3. Deteriorating health and losing privacy and dignity. Before I moved into the nursing home, I was doing fine for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could cook, take care of myself, do light shopping. Each morning I stretched a little, walked around the house, kept myself active. I never imagined that just a few months later, those simple abilities would begin to slip away. At first, it felt like a relief. Meals delivered, no more cleaning, no stairs to climb. It was convenient. But I didn't realize that with every comfort, I was becoming weaker. I remember the first time I really noticed it. I was sitting in a chair watching TV and decided to get up and grab a glass of water. But I couldn't stand up in one smooth motion like I used to. I had to push myself up slowly, gripping the armrests. That's when it hit me. I had lost the strength to do something I once did without thinking. And it wasn't just me. There was a woman named Alice, 81 years old. When she first arrived, she was full of life, walking around the garden every day, always smiling, always moving. But over time, I noticed she was walking less. Then came the walker, then the wheelchair. One day she looked at me and said, "I don't know what happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." That's exactly what it felt like. When you stop using your body, you start losing it. And in a place where everything is designed to make life easier, it becomes dangerously easy to stop trying. The facility is meant to care for you, but that care sometimes becomes a trap. The less you move, the more help you need. The more help you get, the less confidence you have to move. If I had known how fast my muscles would weaken, how quickly my energy would drain, I would have done everything I could to keep moving, even when I didn't feel like it. And as if that wasn't enough, there was another loss I hadn't expected. The loss of privacy, of dignity. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit in silence, shower on my own time, choose what I wore and when I wore it. In the nursing home, privacy is a luxury. Staff come in and out of your room without much warning. Room checks, medication rounds, shared bathrooms. You are rarely alone. Even dressing and using the toilet sometimes require assistance. I remember my first week, being told I'd have to wait for someone to help me shower. I stood there, towel in hand, waiting, not because I couldn't shower, but because it wasn't my turn yet. It's not easy to ask for help with things you've done your entire life without thinking. And it's not easy to be spoken to like a patient instead of a person. I was lucky to have a kind roommate, but others weren't. Some had roommates who were loud, unclean, or suffered from cognitive decline that made nights restless and days unpredictable. And no matter how many photos or decorations you put up, your room never really feels like home. Dignity isn't taken from you in one big moment. It's chipped away when people don't knock, when you have to ask for basic things, when your schedule is no longer your own. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you truly ready to give up the privacy and personal control you've had your whole life? Because once it's gone, it's not easy to get it back. Far harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself, just for a little while, if it doesn't feel right, I can always leave. At the time, I still had the keys to my house in my coat pocket. My daughter assured me, we'll keep the house just as it is. You can go back anytime. And I believed her. But months passed. The garden became overgrown. Dust settled on the windowsills, and neighbors started calling to ask about the empty property. My daughter eventually hired people to clean it up. Then she sold some furniture. Then came the suggestion, maybe we should rent it out, Dad. It's just sitting there. One day I said, I want to go home. My daughter paused, then asked gently, are you sure, Dad? Do you think you can still manage everything on your own? You're safer here. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't sure anymore. After months of not cooking, not cleaning, not walking upstairs, my body had changed. I had changed. Even getting out of a chair took effort. I didn't know if I could remember my medication schedule, if I could handle being alone in an emergency. The confidence I once had, it wasn't there anymore. I met an older man named Raymond. He had lived alone for years and loved his independence. He came into the nursing home just for winter, he told me, just until the weather warms up. 2 years later, he was still there, and his apartment had been sold by a well-meaning nephew to help cover the care costs. He looked at me and said, I thought I was staying temporarily. I didn't realize I'd never leave. That's the truth no one tells you. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to go back. Not just because of money, though that's part of it. Not just because your home may be gone, though that happens too. But because every week you're in a nursing home, you grow less certain that you can make it outside on your own. It's a silent shift. You stop believing in yourself. You stop believing you're capable of running your own life again. You grow dependent on being helped. And before you realize it, you're stuck. You become a resident, not someone passing through. The staff stop asking about your plans. The outside world fades. And the idea of leaving becomes more frightening than staying. If you're thinking of moving into a nursing home, just to try it, please understand, it's rarely a short-term stop. It often becomes your final destination, whether you plan for that or not. Ask yourself, Do I still want to cook for myself, even if it takes longer? Do I still want to walk to the mailbox, even if I go slow? Do I still want to sit in my own chair, in my own home, surrounded by my own silence? If the answer is yes, then fight for it. Because once you cross that line, getting back isn't nearly as simple as you think. 5. Looking back at what I lost. There are things you don't notice right away when you first move into a nursing home. But over time, you begin to realize just how much you've lost, quietly, gradually, and deeply. I lost the ability to do the small things, like choosing what to eat, taking a shower when I wanted, waking up and going to bed on my own time. I lost connection with the outside world. Friends stopped calling. Family visits became rare. I lost my rhythm. Mornings had no purpose. Afternoons dragged on, and evenings were filled with silence. But above all, I lost the feeling that I was still me. Every day began to feel exactly like the last. The same meals, the same routine, the same voices in the hallway. It wasn't awful. It was just empty. I used to be an independent person. When my wife passed, I adjusted. I learned to cook for myself. I kept my small garden alive. I even played my old piano once a week. I lived alone, but never felt lonely. But inside the nursing home, even though I was surrounded by people, I started to feel like I had disappeared in the crowd. I remember talking with Elaine, a retired literature teacher. I used to feel alive standing in front of my class. She told me I mattered. I had a voice. Now, she said, she felt like a patient, a body in a room. Room 213, she said bitterly. That's what they call me now. There was another man, George, a carpenter all his life. He used to build shelves, fix doors, make toys for his grandkids. He once helped fix a drawer in my room, out of habit. But over time, his hands, once steady and strong, just rested in his lap. I feel useless, he told me, and I knew exactly how he felt, because that's the hidden danger of being in a place where everything is done for you. You slowly stop feeling needed. You stop feeling capable. And worst of all, you stop feeling alive. Purpose doesn't have to be something grand. It can be as simple as watering your plants, folding your laundry, or making your morning coffee just the way you like it. But in a nursing home, even those tiny acts of agency are taken away. The staff mean well. They want to help. But in helping, they often remove the very things that keep us grounded. Our choices, our actions, our routines. It becomes easier to sit, to wait, to do nothing. And with each day of doing nothing, your mind slows, your body softens, and your sense of self begins to slip quietly into the background. If you're thinking about a nursing home, I ask you to reflect honestly. What still gives you a sense of purpose? What small part of the day reminds you that you're still in charge of your life? Because once that slips away, you're not just passing the time, you're fading. 6. Don't give up your power too early. If there's one thing I hope you'll remember from everything I've shared, it's this. Don't give up your power too early. As we grow older, it becomes easy to let others make decisions for us. We tell ourselves, my kids know what's best, or the doctors understand more than I do. And yes, they care. They mean well. But no one knows you better than you. You know what you can still do. You know how much support you actually need. You know what brings you joy, what gives you meaning, and what helps you feel like yourself. I had a friend, Harold, who almost moved into a nursing home after a fall. But instead, he chose something different. He hired a part-time nurse, installed handrails and safety lights in his home, and asked a neighbor to check on him daily. 3 years later, Harold is still in his home. He still waters his garden every morning. He still writes in his journal. He still makes his own coffee, black, no sugar, just the way he likes it. He once said to me, I'm not trying to fight aging. I just want to grow old on my own terms. And that hit me deeply, because I hadn't done that. I had surrendered too quickly. I thought I was making things easier for everyone. I thought I was being reasonable. But now I know, choosing to live life your way isn't selfish. It's an act of preserving your dignity, your soul, your voice. Too many of us are convinced that the safest option must be the right one, that staying at home is reckless, that needing help means we must hand over everything. But there's a difference between accepting help and surrendering control. If you're still able to walk, still able to make decisions, still able to feel the sun on your face and remember your favorite song, then you still have the right to live, not just be looked after. Because once you move into a system built for care, even with the best intentions, it's very hard to get back what you've handed over. Every decision matters. Every yes or no shapes the path ahead. And every time you say, "I'll just let them handle it," you're taking one step further away from your own voice. So before you agree to move, before you let someone else decide for you, take a moment. Sit quietly. Breathe. Ask yourself, do I still want to wake up in my own room? Do I still want to eat what I love when I want to? Do I still want to live life on my terms, even if it's a little harder? Because if the answer is yes, even a little bit, then don't hand over your power just yet. You are still capable of making choices. You are still here. And your life, no matter your age, is still yours. I've shared everything I wish someone had told me sooner, not to scare you, but so that you can make your decision with full awareness and strength. Moving into a nursing home isn't always a mistake, but it should never be a decision made out of exhaustion, guilt, or convenience. It must be your decision after careful thought, after trying every other way, and only when you truly know it's what's best. Growing old does not mean losing the right to choose. What makes us hand it over too soon is often fear. Fear of being a burden, fear of falling, fear of being alone. But giving up your independence out of fear often means losing more than you ever expected. If you can still walk a few steps, make your own tea, feel the sunlight through your favorite window, cherish those things. Hold on to them as long as you can. Because each day you live life on your own terms is a day you're truly alive. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If something I said made you think, or stirred something in your heart, please share this video. You never know. Someone out there might be standing at the edge of this same decision, and this might help them hold on to the most precious part of their life. And don't forget, life begins at 50 is always here to remind you. Getting older is not the end. It's the beginning of living more honestly, more bravely, and more fully than ever before.